Thanks for tuning in to the QWIRE. I'm here with my co-hosts,
Sue, Christine, Buddy,
and I'm Jessica. This week we're going to continue our conversation that we started last week as we talk about oppression within the queer community. QWIRE is a weekly news and calendar feature that is actually turning into kind of a discussion feature as well on the KHSU page on Wednesday's homepage. And originally it started as a half-hour show that really focused on news and current events. The show has been limited now to 5 minutes, so we do like a 5-minute jam-packed discussion session.
I didn't really think about it in that context because as a gay white male, I have all this privilege and I can shut the door when I want. And thinking about it, how fair is that to members of the queer community?
The last several months we've been talking about transgender issues, gender issues in general, and gender roles within queer relationships. We've also talked about some of the biggest movements that are currently on mainstream right now. You hear things about pride, you hear things about marriage equality, that's a really big issue. And we want to talk about that because a lot of the people listening do care very much about those issues. Last week we ended our conversation talking about the movements that have been happening and whether or not we should be having patience. And that got us sparked up. I think that the QWIRE is important because what we're trying to do at this point is put ourselves on display and put ourselves out there as not only asking questions that we think are important, but being willing to expose ourselves as not being as knowledgeable as we portray ourselves.
Each of us experiences privilege and oppression at different times in our lives, and being cognizant of that and when it's happening in the moment, and rethinking our thinking because we have been socialized to think a certain way, and it's very hard to overcome that, you know.
I think that having 4 people on there is staying true to the mission that we're sort of seeking right now, which is to bring in as many voices as possible. And for as long as we're able to do this in a way that doesn't become too confusing or chaotic for both the people that are engineering for us, but also our listeners, I think we're going to continue to bring in as many perspectives as possible.
Yeah, and then I'll say, this is my experience. I don't speak for every queer person of color in Humboldt because we're all different.
When I think of what you said, I think about taking away the identity of queer and looking at what we are as far as a white person, and then applying that and seeing where we're at with how we mix with different cultures.
We can't choose someone and ask them, like you said, to represent the experience for everyone.
One of the things with the QWIRE that we're really conscious of is that by being on a radio show, we are stepping out for the community and we are talking for the community, and we don't want the queer community or the non-queer community to start to feel that we're the only representation. So we aren't striving to be the only voice, we really are striving to be a part of the voice. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in.